All right. Excuse me. All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to September's Planning Commission meeting for the Village of Vicksburg. Time is 7:02. I'm going to call this meeting to order, and I will ask that we take attendance. I'm looking around. My secretary is not here.
Want me to do it?
Yes, would you please? Staff is
Uh,
preoccupied, it looks like, so
Bishop,
Present.
DeBalt, present. Schenkel,
present.
and, what's your?
Riashi.
Riashi,
Present.
Witella,
Present.
Plankenhorn, and, Hugh. Yeah, she's. And Bill Cox.
Okay. Do we have sound from him? Do we need to get an address?
All right, can you just say the address that you're calling? Here in the village of Vicksburg. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And for tonight's agenda, trust everyone's had time to review tonight's agenda. If you have any questions, we can entertain those. Otherwise, I will call for a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
This is Member Wertella. I move to approve the Monday, September 11th, 23 agenda as submitted.
Motion on the table by Wartella. Do we have support?
Bishop, second.
Support from Bishop. Any additional conversation? Hearing none. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Thank you. All right. Looks like we have one board position open, and just a public service announcement that applications are due for that position September 14th, 2023. So we will make note of that in our meeting minutes as well. This time we will move to citizen comments. Seeing no one in the room, no one online, we will move on. Next, approval of minutes from August 14th. Again, trust that everyone has time to review those meeting minutes from last meeting. Call for a motion to approve those minutes.
This Member Wertella, I move to approve the meeting minutes as submitted.
Motion on the table from Wartella, support.
Wasn't here during that time period, so.
Ms. DeBalt, I'll support it.
All right, support from DeBalt. Any further discussion on the meeting minutes from August? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Thank you. And we are on to the village manager report.
Yes, Mr. Schenkel, thank you. Real quick, new Village Hall's progressing well. If you've been by it, the exterior metal siding should be finished here in the next couple days. Interior is moving right along on drywall. It is currently right now about 3 weeks behind schedule, but we have all the confidence we'll be in the building by the end of the calendar year. Might have temporary parking up until next spring when the asphalt plants open up again, but we're looking forward to having that building in service. We have secured contracts for a demo on the existing Village Hall once that is ready to be brought down, and we have also secured bids on the digital sign, which is a project outside of the scope of building the building. So that'll be presented next Monday to the village council for their approval to have the digital sign, display sign as well. And we should have that when the building's open. So be happy to answer any questions on the new municipal building. I do remind everyone that it is a project that's cash financed. So it has a savings of about $1.7 million in interest payments over the course of the 30-year time frame. So
Great news to hear that project moving forward. 3 weeks behind is not a surprise, but surprise it's not more. So glad to hear you guys are still anticipating into the calendar year and looking forward to seeing that building when it's
yeah,
completed.
Frederick's construction leadership team deserves credit for that, and some of it's been delivery of drywall and some other materials, but
Yep.
looking forward to it.
Great.
Real quick, had the 9 Berg days of summer events took place over 9 weeks. We did experience 2 rainouts, but we built in 2 weeks, so all 9 weeks took place. Some of the preliminary data, and we're going to have a better presentation in front of the council, is in excess of 30,000 people attended the 9 events. Our social media interactions were in excess of 200,000. And kind of, it's hard to quantify the positive goodwill, PR, conversations that took place outside the village of Vicksburg about the village of Vicksburg and the direction that's being moved. So we think it was a really successful and part of the discussions about midway through the Berg Days was let's have something for our 55 and plus year old community, which we held that as well. I think it was August 24th. And for the first one, we had 128 participants, 8 vendors that seem, and we've gotten really good feedback from that as well. That it will be an annual event, but in taking all the feedback, that'll be placed the second Thursday after Labor Day will be the traditional time. And we think it'll lead well into marketing and getting word out on the Harvest Fest that would be within 2 weeks of that, and also weather, and give staff a couple weeks break after summer activities of 24. So pause there, answer any questions on Berg Days of summer events or the senior Berg Day.
What's the plan going forward for Berg Days? How does that look sustainability wise? Do we have the bandwidth on the staff to handle?
Yeah,
that?
we're not adding. We've full time have allocated 5 positions in DPW. We've been running 4 since early in the summer. We will have a 5th person who's accepted a job offer in October. Next summer, we might look at adding a couple part-time positions. We're evaluating that, but we're confident staffing-wise we'll be ready to go. We're just exploring different options for the financing of it, and should have, certainly by the end of the year, a report on where to do that. We want to hold the events, and the feedback that we've received from the retail, our restaurants, our pubs, and then the people that participated. Feedback from the food truck vendors who go to many of these events on positive comments all indicate that it would be worthwhile if we can put it together.
Jim, if I might, I think everybody owes a great deal of gratitude to the DPW folks. Police department, very good folks that were there. We know there was security, but people could have fun. And then your DPW folks put in place, everything was put in place, everything was removed. Kudos to those guys. I hope that could be passed on.
It certainly will be, and thank you. Which leads to, hey, why not keep the momentum going? So on October 14th, a Saturday, and that's give or take within 10 days of different recordings of historical documents, the Berg's birthday. So we're going to throw the Berg a birthday party. putting together. It's basically gonna have a birthday party theme. Communication will go out this week to the businesses downtown as well as the chamber, looking for a competitive type voting situation where they decorate their businesses in a birthday party theme. We'll have the downtown. It'll be a 3 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. event. All as the Berg Days, we're really focused on family-oriented activity with live music, activities, and entertainment for kids, street games. We'll bring back, if people were there last year, at least we'll request them to come back, hot air balloons for the glow-in-the-dark type activities. The Cultural Arts Center, Vicksburg Cultural Arts Center's agreed to participate in that. So we will also, tomorrow, we're going to fundraise for both the Berg birthday party as well as Christmas in the Berg. That fundraising notice will go out to the Friends of Vicksburg who have helped in the past, and we'll be looking to expand that fundraising activities because a live music component is an additional investment, as well as what we've added to the Christmas in the Berg is a trolley, an actual Christmas trolley that will take a 15 to 18 minute tour of different areas of Vicksburg, the route mapped out with an audio about Vicksburg that's being produced for those trolley rides that can be used in future events. So we have additional investments we think will make it enjoyable. So those two events, October 14th and December 9th, should have a continued impact on our downtown, and as well the feelings reference the village of Vicksburg, because that's part of what we think adds in some other announcements we have coming up here with industrial partners coming to town and different businesses investing. They're seeing what's going on. We're getting a real positive response. So.
I know kind of sandwiched in between there is Halloween. I know we have, kind of a historic town and there's some great buildings that have, that vibe to it. Is there any thoughts on doing anything like that weekend?
Parks and Rec are looking at a potential movie in the park. Their meeting is in 2 weeks to see if that's a possibility. But other than that, I have not been approached about any specific item for Halloween weekend. So
I think it's a Monday.
I know tomorrow's Tuesday.
I want to say it's the same weekend though as Michigan State. I could be
That's
wrong.
October 21st,
Oh, it's the weekend before. Okay.
which is a Saturday.
Is Michigan State even allowed to play this year? Okay. It's a Tuesday, Halloween. So
Without any actual events being promoted or anything
Are you talking for Halloween?
for Halloween.
The businesses downtown
There's a huge
traditionally
crowd.
hand out candy. The fire department's involved quite extensively, and it's a large contingent of kids. Yeah.
yeah, cool. I've seen a lot of communities do, skeleton contests, outside their business too, and that could be just another way to have a vote or
Yeah, no,
Things like
it's
that.
a good idea, and
Yeah.
certainly can put that out there,
Mhm.
so. Then the one announcement, you might have seen cones go up today, and of course, the weather, but, the bridge, Prairie Street Bridge repairs will start this week, so we can get that fixed and back up within a proper appearance for a gateway into the village. So those are village related. We'll certainly have comments here on planning commission related items as well as DDA related items. Be happy to answer any questions on any thoughts, comments, rumors you might have heard about the village.
And what time is the Berg Day, or the birthday? What time is the
birthday-
birthday party?
It will have a 3 o'clock, we're tentatively right now, a start of 3 p.m. and a end at 8:30, so we can get the streets back. Our goal is to have the streets back opened up by 10. So tentatively, right now, there'll probably be some parking spots on Prairie Street coned off earlier than this, but like Main Street at Prairie, about 1 o'clock, um, somewhere in there to, uh, um, have the cars be able to leave. We're gonna shut off Main Street between Prairie and the alley, north of Prairie there, so we can set up the stage for the music. And it's gonna be set up a little bit different than people became accustomed to for Bird Days. The food trucks will be down at the Kalamazoo Prairie area. The band will be at the intersection. You'll probably see premier seating that will be part of the fundraising effort, that the tables and that we put out, the picnic tables will be reserved as part of that fundraising effort.
And Jim, that reminded me, I wanted to ask a question about fundraising. I'm curious if there's been any thought given to like a GoFundMe page.
We had our legal team research if that was available. Not so much GoFundMe, um, but to set up a QR Cash App situation. So I'm hoping to get that response, to have possible people to be able to donate via Cash Apps, as well as have on-site secure locations that might look like just a big wooden box that's filled with a lot of weight that they can dump money in. It averages for these two events about $8,500 to put them on at what makes them a unique experience. So our goal is about $17,500 to fundraise here.
Are we getting these things, like, you know, the band, the food trucks, the kids' activities, are there sponsorships tied to these at all?
Well,
or-
we've had a lot of, uh, there, what we're looking at is leading into 2024, where we would have like a yearly sponsorship, meaning our plan is in February or March to get information out to the local community, different friends and businesses that have supported in the past, and do just a one-time type sponsorship, and then their recognition would come at every single event throughout the year. So we have in the past specifically had a sponsor for, especially really for Christmas in the Village. Someone sponsored Santa, someone sponsored the tractor pull, the horse and hay wagon, those type of events. But we're gonna look at proper recognition on a tiered level, depending upon the donation amount. And obviously the top tier would have a lot of recognition, including our social media platform recognition.
Sorry, I'm just kind of throwing out ideas. Are we doing a big, I'm thinking of, you know, the birthday celebration. Are we doing a big happy birthday where the whole village sings happy birthday? You get a drone up there and you put a drone up there, everybody sings happy birthday, and you
No,
could get something like that
I
sponsored
can
even.
tell you that there's a
right?
group, 3 individuals and then staff that are working on quite a number of things. But my hesitation is, they have great ideas. One, and I just hesitate because they're the ones working so hard. If I speak out of turn too soon, I know these things are gonna happen, but I think they want, in the marketing scheme of things, to come out at a certain point. I'm trying to think which one I can tease you with, though, but I can tell you if it happens at a birthday party, I think they've dotted the i's and crossed the t's, possibly with a cupcake eating contest, i.e. the hot dog eating contest. So I guess I'll tease you with that, but they're into the weeds on some details that I think will be pretty cool. So
Well, that fundraising component, back to that, I think it's so easy for people to contribute $5, $10, especially if they're getting the enjoyment out of it for free. I would certainly be inclined, and I know a lot of people would do that as well, as this is an easy way to contribute to something that you believe in and that you enjoy.
Yeah, no, that's, and it's being looked at. I just wanted to make sure if we're drawing, because those donations and if people wanted it due to things that are above my pay grade, like tax advantages are not
Oh,
on a
yeah.
donation level, and how do we track it through a Venmo or a Apple Pay, those type of things.
Should
I
you do a
will say this,
50/50 raffle at all, or
I'm sorry,
could you
what?
do a 50/50 raffle during
Well,
it, or?
well, that adds another component with the Michigan Gaming Agency, so we have attempted to stay away from that. We're looking at, not so much, I guess this wouldn't be on the fundraising side, but because our look at these events are to bring an appreciation for the village of Vicksburg, and we think we have data points of how long housing is on the Vicksburg market. Again, businesses, we want our businesses to succeed in a positive environment. So, some of the focus is how do we get people into our retail stores and have this all core, have the retail businesses get an advantage to holding these events, and that's why the time frame really is selected in the later afternoon. We're looking at using, investing DDA money. So again, this is kind of thinking out loud. Don't hold me to the total numbers, but let's say 10 different, possibly 20 different $50 gift cards from our restaurant, pub businesses, and people who purchase at least $25 in the retail establishments that day will fill out a business card that'll go into a big birthday gift type basket. And then between band breaks, we'll either have 10 names pulled out or 20 names pulled out to possibly get these $50 gift cards, but they would have had to spend $25 in the non-restaurant, non-pub retail establishments. So we're trying to use DDA money to incentivize people to shop downtown. We think we have unique stores that they'll come back for. And as an incentive to that, have also the other stores who predominantly do well when people are in town, but still have them involved, that we'll invest and buy those gift cards. So items like that. Now is it related to fundraising? No, it's to try to get people into the commerce, that not to have people just come down to listen to live music and that.
Thank you, Jim.
Yeah.
I think we can move on to our Planning Commission action items. Looks like you've got a site proposal that you'd like to get to us.
Yeah, and this is again, we're the official presentation on 215 East Prairie right now is going to occur at the October Planning Commission meeting. Staff is working with the developer, and by staff, we have McKenna and Associates, we have Chris Hamilton from SCCMI, our building authority, our village attorney Kathleen Kaufman's office, all involved reviewing the application and the plans. We have a meeting scheduled in a few weeks internally that will propel to meetings with the developer if we have any clarifications that are needed or suggestions. And with the goal being that we'd be in a position to present this site plan to the Planning Commission for their review with our recommendations of approving it if we get to that point. But it's focused on the northwest corner of Prairie and Richardson Street. It's been vacant for about 30 plus years now. and it would completely redevelop that site into a Big B's Coffee. So we've been working with a developer for a number of months now. And, you know, part of the attention drawn to Vicksburg from a developer standpoint was the momentum that's been created in Vicksburg, and then we put out traffic counters and every type of data point we could, so. And provide that now to the planning commission, so you have it a full month. If you guys have any questions, or I've talked to Don Wartella with his background, and he brought up points, but if you have any, certainly willing to discuss that, or give me a call, ship me an email, and we'll work between now and the presentation date to ensure any of those questions or ideas are addressed and answered.
Jim, just one question as I look at this plan. Is this just a drive-through, or is there meant to be like inside space as
No,
well?
right now, this is their, Big B's has a drive-through, style of their shops as well. You might have seen them in other towns. So it's on that concept. It would have outdoor seating,
Okay.
but not indoor seating.
Jim,
Hey, Jim, it's Rick.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I definitely would like to follow up with you on this. I think, as you know, I owned one of the first coffee shops in Kalamazoo 25 years ago. And so there's a lot of knowledge that I have regarding this, which creates some questions that I have. I think it's great we're having an investment in the community, but there's just some questions that I have regarding this particular project. And the one thing I did want to ask you, and that is, as it relates to the traffic in that area, I believe that's one of the highest trafficked areas in the village. It's also where the middle school has a lot of traffic letting kids off. And so if it's going to be a drive-through there, that's one of the things that I would appreciate, that if we can at least take a look at that to ensure that we're taking care of all any concerns that residents may have with high flow traffic in an area where you've got kids and mothers and fathers dropping their kids off for school.
No, excellent points.
Jim, comments, we had mentioned these before. We got a piece of gravel eyesore that's there, and this is something that will be really an improvement, not only to the looks, but also probably to the tax base. And the plan that I see here is pretty good. I do have some questions about the driveways, and I'm wondering if we could talk or work with the developer, the consultant, and maybe eliminate that southernmost drive and make the northern drive two-way. It's kind of a detail, but I guess my request would be to see if that southernmost drive could be eliminated and the northernmost drive be made two-lane, two-way. And I think that fits in with the flow that they have. The drive, or the nearest Richardson, is two-way, and that would fit right in with that. And I think this might help what Rick had mentioned also. There is congestion there, especially when kids are being dropped off or picked up from the schools in that area. But that's my thoughts.
No, I appreciate that.
So no action items on this. That will come before Planning Commission in October, right?
Or if we're at a comfort level that staff can support it. If not, we'll report back on what possibly has delayed it. I fully anticipate us presenting this in October. But those are good points that Mr. Holmes and Mr. Wartella made, and it's information like that. After you digest this or you get thoughts, certainly communicate with staff, and we'll try to get all those answers and clarifications that might be needed back to the individual members and then this group as a whole as we move forward.
Great.
I wanted to give the Planning Commission a heads up. We have been approached, have had more than preliminary, a few meetings with a developer for a condominium neighborhood design for Homestead at Centennial, so basically between the Trillium development and the Centennial development. We anticipate, in using some of the technical terms, I guess, you need a step one of a process for something like this. That's what it's titled, step one. So the official step one will probably be presented to the Planning Commission. Right now, we're planning in November of 2023. Some items of note, this is not a reduced square footage of the blueprint of the property. It meets all the current lot that is under village ordinance. So it would be more like the Trillium neighborhood size than Centennial. It is a total right now of somewhere between 116 and 122 home sites. But what is being worked on behind the scenes are the infrastructure. This will be a development that ultimately has public infrastructure and public roadways that the developer invests the money in to put in place, but ultimately will become the possession and responsibility of the village. So we have an engineering group, a road group, ensuring that all the specifications are met in those areas, as well as the 100-year floodplain. So that's what, but I wanted to bring it in front of the Planning Commission to know. It could be a busy and exciting 2 months here.
Jim, this kind of reminds me on our master plan. I know that part of the master plan and the research and the public comment was kind of housing makeup and kind of what that looked like. I'd be interested in having some sort of context from the master plan as it relates to this project, just to maybe help guide our conversation a little bit.
When we get to November, that'll be a part of the component of the presentation, but I can assure you it meets the discussions that have taken place in the master plan update.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Any other questions on that, or Mr. Holmes, did you have a question on that or comment?
I'm good. Just to follow up, Chairman Schenkel's comment, Jim, if you said this, I'm sorry I missed it, but what was the number of homes that we were told that we should anticipate needing to support growth in the community again? I'm trying to remember the number that we were told.
Oh, well, those numbers are all related to like County of Kalamazoo and Southwest Michigan, and I believe, I don't know if this is Nick's area, but I believe it's a 5-figure number of housing units needed for growth in Kalamazoo County over the next 20 years. And I think it's well into 5 figures, like in excess of 50,000 housing units. And then it breaks down as well into affordable housing.
Okay. I think it's great that that land that we're looking at, it makes sense that something is done there because it is kind of landlocked in between the two developments. So that's actually great to hear.
I can pull that data, if you need for the next meeting, kind of what that growth looks like. But I think you're pretty spot on.
Yeah.
Yep.
Locally, I know through conversations with every single one of our industrial park partners and their needs and requirements to have a sustainable workforce include affordable housing, where individuals working for these companies that are providing a living wage and better, we need to look locally to make sure we can have that workforce hopefully within the village limits, but certainly within a 10-mile radius to have a workforce to sustain the businesses. Any other comments or like I said, that'll, right now is flight pattern. There are some public notices that have to take place in that process. And if everything goes well, as we anticipate it will, those public notices will take place, and then, the first, formal governmental interaction will occur at the planning commission meeting in November. Hearing nothing else, we'll move to the third one. We have, at the current Legia Park, there is an industrial lot. We have a municipal building authority in place. We are working with a developer as well as Jared Balka, who we use out of Warner Norcross for, property, business type investments. He oversees our brownfield, among other things. So I wanted to bring in front of this groups, that we will have a municipal building authority meeting next Monday at 6 p.m. and then the third Monday in October. And I anticipate in October or no later than November, that 5.5 or 6 acre parcel, being presented to the municipal building authority, ultimately the village council, for sale to this developer, and the details of that will come at future meetings, but not tonight. But I certainly want you aware that that's, moving forward. And I use that as another example of, positive events that are taking place, especially in outside or developers investing in our community. And a lot goes into it. And I'm looking forward to formally making this announcement here, either at the Municipal Building Authority or the, Village Council next week.
All right. Thanks, Jim. On to DDA action items.
Yeah, and there's no voting action items, but the grant application, I take responsibility. We were gonna try to get this out whenever it was, July or August. I've completely fumbled that. I have, 3 inquiries, and that will be distributed this week. We wanted to clean up a couple things in the application, but, if you have comments, that anyone's approached the board, it's certainly my responsibility, and we, will have that completed this week, so I apologize about that. But the grant application, that's on public betterment of, we did pre-authorize or pre-approve apple knockers on the $15,000 grant, but, staff extended some of the previously approved grant opportunities because of contractors in completion. So we extended those till December 31st on last year's money, did an internal carry forward. So we'll report all back at the January Planning Commission meeting, the 22-23 results of the grant. But we'll get this grant moving forward, and these are projects that will probably commence, could this fall, but certainly by next spring's construction seasons. So I wanted to update you on that. Did, purchase, it was in the budget, both went through the DDA and, council. We purchased 4 large screen TVs for the social district to keep, and again, just looking at ways to bring people downtown, spend money within our business district, and enjoy the social district within our downtown. Those were placed out for the first time Thursday for the NFL opener. It was estimated between the locations, 100 to 115 people were outside on a Thursday night watching those games. We didn't put any social media advance notice, just kind of a what do they call it, a soft opening with technology to ensure in some, the TVs, the streaming or whatever. A couple times we had to reboot, but really got a lot of positive interaction on social media on the implementation. We will be, we had an internal discussion, should we just put out for big games, but who's to define a big game? And we've worked out where because we're providing the TV, but there's only certain locations that have the business TV services that go through the TV, I guess. And we're gonna rely on them and trust their judgment when to put them out, and they lock to the poles, so we look forward to that occurring.
Jim, I wanted to go back to the grant application just real quick. I just had a question with it being delayed. Do you see any impact at all with that? No negative side? Okay.
Oh, I imagine there could be comments of negativity. The reality is the reality. I take responsibility that it wasn't put out. John brought it to my attention a couple weeks ago, and since then, another business has asked me about it. I said it's certainly going to occur with the targeting of this week of the distribution of it. So and then it's the reality if the applications come in, and we put it in front of the board, probably again, that would be the November meeting for approval. You know, it might impact like we did on some grants from the previous fiscal year when they couldn't get done by June 30th. We just, as staff, said, okay, and then we have a formal, more communication between us and those recipients. And we extended them until December 31st. And we said, if it's not gonna get done the 31st, continue. And then we did an internal accounting where we're just keeping that money moving forward and tracking it to ensure. So if anything, the negative I put on Michelle Morgan, I'll publicly apologize to her, because it could next June impact some of these 23, 24 projects. And we'll do the same thing. If they're not done by June 30th, we'll just move this money forward as well.
Yeah. Well, it's not like you didn't have anything on your plate that would have distracted you, so.
I should have remembered, so.
Thanks, Jim. Appreciate the honesty and the humbleness there. Glad to hear that impact is gonna be minimal, and we'll get Michelle maybe some cookies or something. Any other questions or comments on DDA items?
No, I'll be happy again to answer any questions or.
With that, with the advertising of these things that we're doing downtown, with the new village hall on the sign, will it be able to
Yes.
flash things that are happening in the village? Because we talked about that several years about in Oswald Park, putting up an information sign so that when people
Yeah,
drive
both
through.
the sign at the historic Village Depot is owned by now the Village of Vicksburg. It was a grant that paid for it, but that is owned by the village, we worked through the Historical Society, but they had the Berg Days up there as an example. And other village events, it'll be similar sign, just like that we plug what we want it to say. So. And I would highlight, and we're gonna market this more, but one of the goals coming out of the village council's strategic planning session earlier this year was to grow our communication avenues with citizens we serve. And in July, we have the ability now for text information, to send text alerts out and have citizens they could text to the number of this program. They might put ordinances. Their smartphone will immediately go to our section of the website for village ordinance, that type of thing. We have that approaching 300 people. There'll be more advertising specifically and targeted to grow that. Our goal by the end of the year is to have over 1,000 people on it. But we have expanded to a texting function. We also have emails, and that's a little over 600 emails, I believe, going out now. But our goal is to get both of them up over 1,000 by the end of the year. So.
All right. I think the last item on our agenda for this evening is member comments. Any member comments from this planning commission?
This is Member Wortella. I just would like to remind folks that the Vicksburg Historical Society is having the Vicksburg Harvest Festival the last Sunday of this month, Sunday the 24th of September. And it will start at 11 o'clock, go to 4 o'clock, and this is a family event, a family affair. Lots of stuff for the kids, all the way from fuzzy animals to sugar and certain types of food. So it would be a great time for everybody, and it's free. Thank you.
Jim, I had a question for you. Berg Days is kind of drumming up some of the ideas that we've had in the past. Washington Street parking lot, is that the right street?
You're talking behind the hardware?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just curious if you can refresh my memory on the timeline that we had anticipated for.
Currently in the CIP for the 26, 27.
Okay.
It's about, well, the estimate is a couple years ago, but it is estimated to be about $700,000 because it would be a complete reconstruction and the foundation of that parking lot. But
Yeah.
it's as flight patterned out for 26, 27 and to pay for it with cash.
Great, thank you.
So if the federal or state government's listening, we would certainly take any earmark and get it done next year if they have extra money.
This thing working?
Yes.
Good.
Shout out Senator Sean McCann and Representative Matt Hall.
Just wanted to say it's really exciting to see the investments coming to town. That doesn't happen without good leadership, and just want to commend you. I know DPW, fire, police, everything did a really great job with Berg Days, but that starts with you, and so appreciate your leadership on that and putting this small village on the map. That certainly, while it's difficult to quantify that, we're being talked about, so appreciate that. That's because of you, so I want to say thank you. Any other member comments? Time is 7:49. I will adjourn this meeting.
Hold on.
Whoa.
Rick might add a comment.
All right.
No, I'm good, Jim. Thank you.
All right. I looked up and he was like staring at me, so I got nervous.
No, I was agreeing with Chairman Schenkel's comments.
Oh,
Agent.
okay. All right.
All right. The time is still 7:49. I will adjourn this meeting. Thanks, everyone.